July was a dead period, correct, for recruiting?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes and no. We did have the elite cookout day on Saturday with lots and lots of blue chip recruits coming down. Um, that was a frequent barbecue get together recruiting event day. So there were events at the University of Georgia. They got to commit there. I know Florida. I know FSU. I know Alabama, Auburn, and several others like Michigan. I saw even. Had their events then. So the scuttlebutt was one of the main things I saw people talking about was Jamie Double F French from Jacksonville Mandarin did come down to Miami with his teammate safety commit Hilton Drake Stubbs, former USC commit who flipped to Miami recently. And yeah, those two are homies. Those two go to school together. They're, I don't know exactly what their interpersonal relationship, but it's analogous to a current day Malcolm Lewis and Tracy Howard from Miramar, back in 2012 when I was there and everything. But they're, flicking it up on, social media, and everything. And, throwing up the U in the practice facility. And, one of them posting like, yo, we're coming to the U. Or I think it was, it was back and forth on so many things. Like, oh, we're going to the U, and then Stubbs, quoting on French's tweet, yo, you know what it is, crib, and then you have Luke Nickel, the quarterback commit, working the I'll get you the ball angle, with Jamie Double F French. I say that because for those who are watching new, he spells his name is French, and it is spelled with 2 F's consecutively to start. Just that's why I say it. But yeah, so Luke Nickel out there, pictured talking to Double F French, a couple other guys as well hopping in there on socials and everything. So, we'll see where that goes and everything, especially, with, a couple guys from last year. From the Jacksonville Mandarin team being on this team now, Derek Plaz, being one of them, the offensive lineman, and then Hilton Stubbs being committed in the same class, and Double F French making it down because hey, he could have went to the 40 acres, he could have went to Texas, which is his presumed leader, right? Could have went there for their cookout. He could have gone anywhere else, but he actually came down here. So that was like one of the major talking points. But we're maybe sacrificing a pawn here and there to try to get a checkmate, but we'll see.
Falconer asking about will Stanford Towers coming down help the Canes?
Hurts my heart to even see it. Stanford Residential College was where I lived all 5 years, 4.5 years in college. If you've ever seen the pictures of campus, Mark, so like let me see. So it's like the football facility, or no, think of a baseball game, right? So baseball, you have the track field behind it, and then a little bit behind that, you have open field where like students would play the intramural fields. Stanford sat right there on the intramural fields, or stood there, and yeah, so all the memories from that time, the friends I made, the ups and the downs, all of those things, just like my entire college not entire, because I went to other places and other people's rooms and things and whatever, but like my living experience and so many of those things were right there in Stanford, in those towers, Walsh 12 and then Rosborough 9. So it was hey, progress comes at the expense of memories. So my group chat with all of my friends from college kind of went crazy when that happened. So I am hoping that, in the aftermath and rising from the ashes and the rubble of what once was Stanford Residential College, rises a championship caliber season for the Miami Hurricanes. Look, the Miami Hurricanes won in 2001. my friends, the Penthouse Punishers, won Sports Fest, the intramural sports competition of teams, basically of floors against each other in around Miami. We won that next year. Baseball won a couple. Hey, we had all these great things. So yeah, the memories that were there, the interception at Boston College, off of Matt Walters' off of Mike Rump's knee to Matt Walters' gut given to Ed Reed. Like, I lived in Walsh Tower on the 12th floor then. And I felt the floor moving and the tower swaying because we were all in that dorm going fucking crazy. So, like, memories like that, yeah, let that hopefully go and help this current iteration of the Canes, because if they're not there anymore, then hopefully the memories and the greatness from that time and all of those times and all those people and all those memories, whether it was myself, my friends, or other people, can go forward. But yeah, it did pull at my heartstrings to see, man, like, yeah, my college dorm is gone. But hey, that's what it takes to make progress. So progress on campus, progress on the field, progress all around. Let's get it.
Well, Cam, speaking of future iterations of Canes, if we take it back to the recruiting conversation, who's on the radar? Who are the big targets that still stand and are reasonable gets?
I mean, Miami did miss on DJ Pickett. He did commit to LSU over Miami and Oregon. Has multiple family ties to the University of Miami, including his cousin Booker Pickett, who was a freshman on this team this year. That is a guy that Miami is going to continue to chase. Don't know if we're going to be able to get there. The fact that he's talking about Corey Raymond being like the GOAT cornerback developer today was interesting. No, like, I think that's more of a career achievement ranking and viewing than like present. You know what I mean? But hey, also heard a lot of chatter. It would be nice to get DJ Pickett, but he's a safety. He's not a corner, even despite what he wants to play. Interesting debate there. But that's a guy that Miami will chase. And again, hey, guys like Justin Scott, number 98 on your roster now, did not commit to Miami, but are on this roster, at the end of the day, as a 5-star recruit who started out committing elsewhere. So that's a big one. Jamie Double F French, definitely the 5-star wide receiver, being from Jacksonville Mandarin, is another guy that Miami is definitely chasing, out here in these streets. There's always a plethora of guys in South Florida. I know that we're kicking the tires on like Byron Lewis from American Heritage. The running back is a guy that's on the, I don't even know exactly how highly on the list he is, but I do know that, he's around, and we're always going to, that, or American Heritage, like, we're going to just stay around there. Dallas Wilson from Tampa Bay Tech, excuse me, a 4-star wide receiver committed to Oregon, is another guy that Miami is chasing. Miami's also been connected with DeCorian Moore from Duncanville, Texas, but has been very the efforts to recruit Duncanville have borne precious little fruit for Miami for many, many a year. Now, I'm not saying that you don't keep trying, but maybe just, I don't know. It just hasn't. There's been offensive linemen, there's been linebackers, there's been wide receivers, there's been running backs, there's been, because Duncanville is one of the powerhouse programs that, like Aquinas, like Central, like whoever, is always pumping out, players. So every cycle is like, oh, we're trying to get this guy from Duncanville. There was a defensive end, Cameron Williams, like, duh, my name, his name, I remember, right? Nah, didn't come here, things like that. So I don't know that one is necessarily going to be a great recruitment that we're chasing. And then there's many, many others on the list as well, in many different places. I don't even really know where to go. You kind of stumped me on that, but yeah, those are probably a couple of the names at the top of mind list. Well, there's Jose Epinesa from Edwardsville, Illinois, Epinesa, Iowa.
AJ.
AJ, there we go. Was a former Miami recruit, but did not come here. Younger brother, I believe the father went to Miami back in the day, might have played at Miami. So that's a 4-star defensive end that we're chasing as well. So just a couple of names to think of. Oh, Lord. Oh, man. That was terrible. It was just so. Andy Mack asked thoughts on Ingrid Andress's national anthem. Yeah.
Okay, so this was at the Home Run Derby, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, at the
Yes.
Home Run Derby.
Now, how does that happen?
Maybe I don't even know. Maybe her in-ear monitor was off. Maybe. I mean, I don't know this person. Maybe there was an inebriation component. Like sometimes people do things before they go perform. Like, I'm not going to say that I've gone on every single thing, dead behind sober that I've ever done. But yeah, it was just.
Okay, Cam, I'm going to guess that you fashion yourself as a capable vocalist, but nothing close to a great vocalist. Correct?
Relatively, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were slightly inebriated, you would still be on key, correct? You could still sing on key.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know, man. Like,
I'm not a singer at all, but I can sing on key generally.
Right.
Look, more than generally, like almost all the time, I can sing on key. Give me a song, I'll sing it on key. As soon as I find, okay, boom, I'll sing it. It's on key. I'm not a great singer. Like, how does that happen that somebody gets selected for the Home Run Derby and they can't sing?
I looked up some of her other things. Like, she has a nice voice. She can sing.
All right.
But
you can understand that it sounded like of somebody who can't sing ever.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
But the other thing is, it was consistently out of tune. So it was like, I'm singing here and I'm doing this thing consistently all of the way through. I'm 44 cents flat on every single note, right? But every single note, I'm 44 cents flat, which means to me, it's like that has to have been part of a system, part of intentionality. Maybe it was whatever she had audiated and so audiating is thinking a pitch inside of your head before you sing it. And so maybe whatever the first thing was, and then again, like her ICM was different. So like she's hearing a different pitch, and so she's matching that pitch. Like there was pitch matching going on. It was not matching to whatever it was supposed to be. And that was the disconnect. I don't know. Like there are different kinds of tone deaf. There's kind of like, think of tone deafness like dyslexia, where there's different iterations thereof. And yeah, maybe she just had momentary tone deafness where like it was translational, like where it went in as one thing, right? And then heard internalizes another thing. So then output as the other thing, not the thing that went in. Maybe that was what it was. I don't know, but it was like, there were no crazy stylistic moments. Excuse me, right? So like think Carl Lewis, think Fergie. They did stuff to the melody that was like, like that kind of stuff. There wasn't any of that. She sung it pretty straight. It was just all out of tune, which to me is like there was something going on. Because again, like I said, I even went and I looked up because people pinged me on it because I wasn't watching the Home Run Derby, and I went back and I saw it and I was just like, oh my god, it's terrible. People were like, yeah, this is like Fergie, this is like Carl Lewis, this is like the worst, and I'm like, it's out of tune, but it's actually not bad stylistically. It's just tonally out of tune. So I don't know. It was not good. Like I'm not going to sit here and like try to say like it was objectively good. I just don't necessarily think it was as bad as some other ones, because they were trying to do some crazy stuff that they had no right to do, or they didn't have the range to be able to do it, and then they did it, and then it went sideways. But yeah, just to be that consistent on every single note, out of tune in the same way, that to me feels funny crazily. And like, I went to college with some people who have perfect pitch. I believe perfect pitch you are born with. You cannot be taught. You can be taught relative pitch, as in, you know, a song, you can get that pitch. And then, like, I have damn good relational. You can give me a note, and with my intervals, I can find whatever pitch you want. Give me an A, give me whatever. And if you tell me, okay, this is what it is, this is an A, this is a C, this is an E flat, whatever, I can find my way to any single note. But again, whatever, music education, different things. But what I say that to say that even in a highly functioning choir, and like even band or orchestra that we had at the University of Miami, people with perfect pitch would say, hey, you're not singing the actual pitch. You're singing an approximation. You're in, you know, like, it's not like I am attuned to the actual vibration frequency. So you're not singing that even. So like, even with people like trained musicians, like everybody who was in chorale with me, like, does incredible stuff in the world of music. I stood next to a guy who was one of the lead music supervisors for HBO. So all of your big shows and things like that, like literally, like he runs and, you know, selects the music. He was on Ballers as a music supervisor, Entourage for a while. Like, they're all of the big shows, right? The big pop shows. So I said to say that, like, we're people who know music. I speak fluent music and everything, but I'm arguing with this kid in the tenor section because he's like, you don't have perfect pitch. You're not singing the right note. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, it's in context of the thing. And so I just say all of that to brain dump that I think there was some of that going on, of something in her brain versus what we all heard. There was some kind of, but again, a consistent, systematic disconnect that came through on every single note. But it was pretty bad. I mean, of course, because like, if you're just whatever's going on, if the musical universe of this space is being violated because you're not singing in the key tone of this thing right here that we are all hearing and experiencing, it's objectively
bad. Well, I guess if you're going to make your mark, that's one way to do it, because otherwise people don't remember who sang the national anthem at said event, unless it's extraordinary Beyonce, Whitney Houston, or it's the other end of the spectrum. So
I saw in the chat, they said that Chris Stapleton is the best anthem. 1983 NBA All-Star Game, Marvin Gaye. You're welcome.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
Do you know if he sang it live?
Yeah. It was, I mean, there was like recorded music, but he sang it live. 1983 NBA All-Star Game, Marvin Gaye, national anthem. It'll finish populating the rest of it as you start typing it, because I just looked it up in this other tab. Have a watch and a listen and enjoy.
Okay. Everybody do that has an interest in national anthems and listening to the very best. Of course, we're talking about an all-time legend, icon.
Oh, I see. Actually, Charles Johnson put it in the chat too. Whitney did his best, and Marvin Gaye at the 1983 also. I see Charles Johnson even before I got there. Nice.
See, the thing I'll say about Whitney, and of course she's amazing, I would in no way ever knock her vocals, although near the end of her life she had a rough patch, not just physically and emotionally, but it wore on her voice. There are some clips of her singing live, and you don't even think it's Whitney Houston. Anyway, when she sang at the Bills Giants Super Bowl, I believe it was.
Yeah.
It was right after the Iraq war started. It was a big deal. It was perfect and all of that. But to find out later, a little bit later, that it was recorded, it doesn't take away from it to a certain extent, because she's still doing the singing, of course, but that she didn't do it live. Beyonce did a Super Bowl. I think it was the Panthers Patriots Super Bowl, I believe. And I thought that was beautiful.
No, Beyonce can sing, bro. Like, yeah, she doesn't sell all these records and everything for no reason. Like, I'm not a Beyonce stan by any stretch of the imagination. I do enjoy her music, but like, I went back and was like kind of critically listening through some of her albums. Whew, brother, man, I like when I was like really just kind of like dialed in on the vocals and not the because like sometimes I get caught up in the vibes. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, like, but I was like, no, I'm going to be really dialed in on the vocals. Whew, I see why people put her in the rarefied air that they talk about. Yeah, man, seriously. But anyways, hopefully the Miami Hurricanes can reach some rarefied air this season to bring it back together as well. Yeah, so a couple days of helmets only for acclimation for health purposes, and then we're going to get shells and pads because we got to start hitting because come August 31st, we're going to be hitting the Florida Gators in the mouth, so we got to practice.